Welcome to Take Your Lead podcast where we empower you to take charge of your personal growth, development, as well as your emotional well-being. Truly excited that you'll be part of a community of leaders who are intentional and purposeful about their growth. On today's episode, I am extremely excited. If I could, I'd actually be jumping up and down to be joined in studio by a phenomenal human being. One of its own kind, of her own kind, of course. And I'm going to be very biased in this episode because I'm joined in studio by the phenomenal Mrs. Melody Makakula, the one and only, my beautiful wife and best friend. And I'm really excited to have her part of our podcast episode today, not only because she's an amazing leader, but she's one who also emulates a lot of leadership principles in the various roles that she plays and the things that she does. And I promise you, she's definitely going to add so much value to your leadership. So wherever you are, grab your pen, whatever it is that you are using to take down notes. It's going to be an amazing ride. Mrs. Mags, welcome to Take Your Lead podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. It is great to be here.
Thank you so much for being here and for taking the time, really, to actually be part of our podcast. I know that you are hard to get.
Wow! Because I'm such a busy lady.
You're so busy. So when one is able to pen you down and be able to have conversations with you, it's really an amazing journey. Maybe just to tee it off for us, maybe just to introduce yourself to our podcast family. Who are you and what do you do? And just maybe tell us about the transitions that you've made in your life that have brought you to the space where you currently are.
Big question. But first and foremost, before I go on with that, thank you so much for having me on your platform. It is a platform that I respect. It's a platform that has hosted giants and people that we respect and people that we love so much. So to be here, I honor what you do. Of course, as my husband and also just as a leader, you're doing amazing, and thank you for having me. It is such a great honor.
I'm just not too sure if she wants Zara or there's something that she wants, but I'll take those beautiful compliments.
Those come from the depth of my heart, okay?
Thank you so much.
So my name is Teachability Melody Makakula. I'm a child of God before anything else. As my husband would say, he's a person of faith. I'm a woman of faith. I love God so much. He is everything to me. I think before anything else, I'm a child of God first.
Yeah.
And then as to what I do or who I am in that aspect, I'm a psychology graduate. I have a psychology degree, industrial psychology, and then I have an honors degree in project management. I'm married to a pastor, so we're leading a church with my husband, who happens to be the one interviewing me. And then what else do? I have a business. I have a small business. And basically, that's what I do, and a whole lot of other things.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for that. I think the purpose of this conversation, rather, is just to really have a candid conversation around leadership.
Okay.
And leadership at home, leadership in business, leading yourself. And I love how you mentioned the different things that you do and you handle them so graciously or gracefully. Maybe take us through some of the hats that you wear and some of the roles that you play as Mrs. Melody.
Okay, I'm a child of God, and then my assignment as well is to be your wife, your helper. So one of the hats that I wear, and hopefully, I hope I'm wearing them gracefully. Would you say that? I'm a wife. At home, I serve my husband. And at church, I serve God through various things that I won't go into detail. However, I serve at church as well alongside you. And then in terms of running my business, it's one of the things that I'm growing in. Yeah. And God has been kind. I'm not an expert yet, but I've experienced a couple of rainy days in terms of running your own business. Because one thing about me, I've never been employed by someone. I've never worked. So maybe I am yet to, I don't know, I don't think I want to, but I am working on a couple of projects as well to empower myself, to build myself so that I can build others. So basically, those are the roles that I play, being a wife, leading a church together with you and running a business, which is not easy because sometimes when you try, I don't think there's such thing as a balance, but you try work everything out, because if everything, I don't know, I don't believe that I can strike like a complete balance between everything that I do, but I try give my best at the time that I'm supposed to do what I am doing.
So beautiful. Maybe just talk to how the common thread between the roles that you play, especially within the mind of leadership.
Okay.
So you mentioned being a wife at church, leading it within church, leading in your business and other things that you do. One of the beautiful things you forgot to mention is she's a bookworm. She's passionate about learning. She's a reader. Continual learning is part of her strong points. Yes. She's literally studying something. Recently she was doing her honors in project management. She's looking at doing her MPA, but she's always stretching forth to becoming better. So what's the common thread of leadership within all the different roles? Maybe what would you say is the commonality of leadership?
Personally, to me.
Yes, to you.
I think to me, well, thank you for, it's a good thing you're my husband here, because I forget some of the things that are important. But I think the common thread would be wanting to be better. And in order for you to be better, for me, it's more than anything, the most common thread and the most important thing is being teachable.
Yeah. Wow.
I believe when we first met, and I've heard it from quite a few people, who would say, hey, actually, so you have a teachable spirit.
Yeah.
That's because for me, I easily take criticism. Bad or good, depends how I deal with it later, but I am willing to take it. Yeah. I think that's one thing about me. I'm always willing, even though sometimes it may crush me or I might not like you at that point, but in everything that I do, whether it's from my leaders or from you as well, or from my peers, I am teachable.
Wow.
I think it's easy. It's not, I can't say it's easy, but I have a willingness to be taught.
What would you say is the importance then of teachability to someone who wants to be better? Let's find someone who wants to grow as a wife or as a business person or as a person of faith or as a business owner or entrepreneur, whatever space of leadership they might find themselves. What would you say is the value of being teachable?
There's immense growth in being teachable. One of the things where I think my own philosophy of being a person who's teachable, one, it eradicates stress and pressure within you to say, I don't know everything. Yeah. So if I don't get something right, of course it's because I didn't know maybe everything. And also that is not a free card though, or a free pass to be lazy or not to learn because you're saying I'm going to be teachable. If I do it wrong, they'll teach me how to do it right. No, that's not what I mean. Yeah. But it means that I have grace to myself to say if I don't get something right, it's because I need to learn more about it. Or if I also give myself grace to make mistakes, because then I don't take them as just a punch in the throat, but I take them as teachable moments because I'm teachable, So I think that helps for me to not put myself under pressure and also not to present myself as someone who's perfect. Because if I come as a person who wants to learn, obviously I've told you one thing, I don't know everything. Yeah. So I think it gives me that grace for myself to say, keep going, keep being teachable, then you will learn more. And if you have a heart to learn, you always learn, Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I think part of what you also do is mentorship and coaching.
Yeah.
You're an accredited mentor coach. What are some of the quality traits that maybe mentioned 3, you've already mentioned 1, which is teachability, that you would say you would look for to someone who is looking for mentorship or someone who's looking to become better? From you, maybe looking into certain quality traits. What are some of those quality traits you would maybe mention?
Okay, so can I get this quality traits from a person who needs to be mentored, or me, my quality traits?
From a person who's looking for mentorship.
I think 1, you must want to be mentored. Yeah. Because a lot of times we are mentors at heart. We love mentoring people, but we've encountered people that we want to help, but they are not ready for the help, or maybe they feel like there's no gap, but you can see from the outside externally, would see this person kind of does need help. So if you want to be in that space, you must want to be helped. You must be willing to learn. Yeah. And then also you must be disciplined, because I read something, I can't remember where I read it, about the fact that discipline is more important than motivation.
Wow.
I can motivate you all day, but if you
Wow.
don't have the discipline to apply what I'm motivating you to do, then it becomes futile. So you have to be disciplined.
Yeah.
And discipline for me means that I'm not going to let myself down. You
Yeah.
know, I'm on a journey of trying to be more healthier, because during lockdown we were eating everything and I gained a few kilos. And each time I crave something that I know is not good for me to eat at that time, I always tell myself internally, don't self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Don't self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Because that comes with whether you're trying to learn something, whether you're trying to develop yourself, do not self-sabotage.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things, the qualities as well, to say I'm going to be disciplined over motivation, because if I may not be motivated, but if I feel the discipline within me, this has to get done, then it's going to get done, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that those are the things that I would say.
That's so beautiful, especially with discipline. I think one of the things, I think this is definitely one of my best interviews, besides the fact that I'm having my wife, but because you emulate this discipline. I think when it comes to leadership, I will see you wake up early in the morning, exercising, without fail, when you don't feel like it, when you're like, but you do it nonetheless. You get up. When it comes to food, you deprive yourself, and by depriving yourself, I am also to be deprived. But nonetheless, we'll talk about that off record. But what are some of your daily disciplines? What are some of the things that you do daily that contribute to your personal growth?
Things that I do daily, my morning. I think one of the things, which is something that because you fall off and then you get up, you know, falling off is a thing that's there. We're doing life, you know. But when you take life as a marathon and not a sprint, when you fall off, you always come back. You have to come back. So I fell off for a while, but now coming back, my disciplines, my morning, it has to be, if my morning is not like this, I'm not going to get anything done. I have to wake up at 5 o'clock, have my time with God. 6 o'clock, I have to exercise, and then I have to get ready for the day and then go through whatever to prepare me for the day that I'm having it, or whatever schedule that I have set up for the day. So time with God, exercising, those are my two rituals every single day. You know, when sometimes I don't want to wake up, I'm like, no. And recently I have a trainer now, and that also brings discipline, because I realize, you know what, I actually need help. So in that order, time with God, prayer, and then exercise. Those are my daily. And my other daily discipline is reading. So either I do it in the morning or I do it in the evening, but I have to. And then the beautiful thing to help me in TED, even though I don't think you've asked this question yet, is the fact that I track it. I have a habit tracker.
Wow.
So my habit tracker helps me to want to do the thing, because if I don't get it done, then I'm not going to tick it off. And ticking it off brings me joy. So that's how I trick myself into doing things. You're going to be happy when you tick off, I did this thing. So I have a habit tracker to track. Well, a habit tracker is not like a machine or something or whatever. It's just in my journal. I've set where there's my calendar. I'm a journal stationary person, so I have a lot of pens. So I have a specific color for doing a certain task. So when I've done my reading for the day, I'll tick with the red pen for the day. If I've done my exercise, I'll tick with the purple pen. So when I see it full, you know what, you did all these things, it gives me joy. So that's how I trick myself into ensuring that I carry my habits and that I do the things that I'm supposed to do.
That's so beautiful. She is a stationary junkie. She spends a lot of money, time, and resources on journal. One of the shops I avoid at the mall is one that is stationary. It's Type-N, or I know, because that's a safe haven for her. But let's maybe to something you said earlier on about the roles that you play. I think one of the things I've seen you, that's why I said gracefully, is to transition into a role that you didn't expect maybe, or didn't see yourself in, which is like being a pastor's wife or being in ministry full time. And transitioning into that role, which you do so beautifully and gracefully, and you're doing amazing. If I have to say so yourself as your pastor, but you're really doing so well.
Thank you.
But to what would you say maybe to your younger self who had different ambitions, different goals maybe, and here you are now having a conversation with your younger self, and we are eavesdropping on that conversation. How would it go?
Wow, that is so deep. But the conversation would go something like this. I would tell her, little girl, focus. You have to focus. I always share these sentiments with you about how I never want to sleepwalk in the process of God.
Yeah.
By that, what I mean, Uguti, I want to be present when I go through the valleys so that I talk about them fully when I'm in the mountaintop.
Wow.
So I want to be so I would tell her to focus, take note down what God is doing, note down, because sometimes God does wonderful things that we even pray for, but we never even see them, because we pass quickly on that moment, but we're looking forward to the next one.
Yeah.
But I would tell her to pause, take down what God is doing, and be fully present. Another thing that I would tell her is that it gets better.
Wow.
So never settle for what you have now, but always look forward to tomorrow, because there's going to be something that's better for you waiting there. So because growing up, my story, it was so hard growing up. And the little girl in me, I don't think she knew she'd be here today. Even to be married to someone like you, there was no chance of that little girl meeting a you in the future, or doing the things that I do now for God, So I'll tell her, able to relax. I know it's hard. I know it looks like nothing is going to come out of this, but it gets better.
It gets better.
Because I've seen it get better. And I know that even this may be my better for the little girl, but for this now, this young lady, I know that there's even more that is going to come. So even now, it's an encouragement I give myself even today to say, you know what, it's going to get better.
Wow.
So yes.
I love that. So life is progressive.
It
gets
it's
better.
Not about perfection, but it's about progression.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Brilliant. You guys see why I actually married her? Besides the beauty and all the heart. And I think one of the things I just keep trying to remember, one of the things I love about everything you say is that it's something that you live. It's something that you model. It's something that you are. And I'm truly grateful to God for aligning our path for us to be able to do life and all that you do. Maybe as we bring in our plane for landing, leadership. What is leadership to you? If we were to say leadership is, just to fill in the blank, leadership is.
I always get nervous at this question, but also excited when you ask other people besides me. Because leadership is a lot of things. But I think from what I embody, I would say leadership is having a teachable spirit.
Wow.
You can't be a leader if you're not teachable.
Wow.
You can't. I don't care how old you are. It doesn't matter how. There's always. I don't know if it's John Maxwell or someone who says that the day you die is not really the day you die, but you die the day you stop learning.
Wow.
Because there's no anything that doesn't grow. It means it's dead.
Wow.
So you can just be a living body in jail, but being dead because you're not learning something.
Wow.
So I'd say that leadership is having a teachable spirit that will carry us until we're 90 if God allows us to live that long, always wanting to learn.
That's brilliant. What's your philosophy then when it comes to leadership and life?
But you just asked this question, babe.
But now,
because I'm probably going to say the same thing. What were you going to say?
No, in terms of your philosophy, in terms of what are some of the beliefs that you hold dear in terms of how you approach your life. I think maybe to help you, since I'm an inside person, one of the things that you always say is life is a project. So treating life as a project, I think is one of your philosophy towards life. Yes,
I think that helped me with studying project management as well, because I didn't want to go there with the mindset that I was I'm gonna do actual projects, working with companies or whatever, which I wish to do still in the future. But I think the thing that I learned was that applying those principles to my life, that my life is a project. There's a guy that I love listening to sometimes, Robin Sharma. He wrote the 5 a.m. Club, which is the book that changed my life. He wrote a poem that stood out to me, which says that within each of us is a project that is waiting to be fulfilled. But then because of distractions, we forget about the project. And the project brings us so much joy and fulfillment. You can say it's purpose, So within so what makes me not rest and pushes me is to say, there is a project that needs to be finished.
Yeah.
And the project doesn't get done in one day,
Wow.
but it gets done with decisive steps
Wow.
to take towards. Even if I do one thing today, I'm going to do another thing tomorrow.
Yeah.
But as long as I'm aligned to my life project.
Wow.
So treating your life as a project, it means I assess risks around me. Uguti, now
Wow.
I'm being lazy, and that's a risk, and I can't
Brilliant.
afford to take that
That's
into
brilliant.
my project because it's going to fall apart. It
Wow.
means that I mitigate. It means that I look into the possible future with what are risks waiting for me there, and I
Wow.
prevent them now. How do I do that? By taking the right decisions today
Yeah.
that will ensure, because our future is really the decisions that we make. We
Yeah.
decide how our future
That's so
is
true.
going to be like. Obviously leaving room for life, because we can't predict what life is going to be like this tomorrow, but I can have an idea of what it's going to be like if I make the right decisions today. So it's ensuring that my project as my life as a project, I make sure I take the right steps, I associate with the right people, that in the board of this project are sane people.
Yeah.
That's when relationships come in.
Wow.
The people that are part of my board of my life project are sane people, are people of integrity,
Wow.
which is what we get when we give people access to lead us, because we don't know everything. I think it gives me so much peace in my life and puts less pressure on me to say, I do not know everything.
Wow.
So in my project, then it means I'm going to invite external people to help me to say, now your project is going down the drain. What can we do to bring it back? Because we are on a journey, and this project, I want a well done from God to say, you lived your life well done on carrying it so well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Podcast family, that's pure gold. If you can just rewind for the past 3 minutes, take your notes down, the mitigation, the board of that, that's pure gold. So that's the philosophy I was talking about. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's super, super helpful.
Thank you.
I know part of what you do, maybe as we conclude our podcast episode today, is coaching, as I mentioned earlier on, and part of this model that you use of treating your life as a project. Where can people follow you, and what are some of the exciting things you're currently working on?
Yay, I'm so excited because I'm currently working on my passion project, which is to mentor young girls. We didn't talk about it, but I used to have a foundation, a non-profit, where I was coming together with girls, talking about life, talking about God, and helping them navigate their lives from my experiences, but also helping them with their own experiences, because we don't all have the same journey, but trying to help them navigate their lives. So that is coming back after 3 years, because I started and I stopped because of new responsibilities.
Yeah.
But now I'm ready and excited about that. I'm going to be mentoring my girls. I think it's one of the things that makes me feel more alive more than anything, when I pour to others, when I help others.
Yeah.
It brings me so much joy and fulfillment at the same time. So we're going to be meeting with them on the 30th, or if not the 31st. I need to get my dates right. And they are also so excited to meet up with me, and I'm going to be mentoring them. Most of them are going to be going to varsity. I've been in varsity. I know what that is like. So I can't wait to help them navigate through that. So my foundation is coming back, possibly with a new name and a new revamp of everything, and a brand identity that we are having. I think it's going to change from what people previously know me as. So we're working on that. So where you can find me, I'm on Instagram at Mrs. Melody Mags, Facebook Sitobile Makakula, and then I'm on Twitter at Mrs. Melody Mags.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast episode. Podcast family, I encourage you to like, follow, and connect with her. She will definitely continually add value to you. Please do leave us a comment wherever you consume our content. We'd really love to hear from you. She mentioned something so powerful about a habit tracker, and I'm excited to also give you this free offer of our own productivity planner, which will also help you establish routine, measuring your wins weekly, daily. Head over to www.mzwandile /productivity planner. We'll actually leave the link on the bio where you'll be able to download it free of charge, and it's going to help you upscale your leadership. Till we meet again on the next podcast episode, thank you so much, Mrs. Melody Mags, for being with us. It's really been a great joy, and I'm super excited for the brilliant, bright future that you have ahead of you. From podcast family, Take Your Lead, we really love you and we honor you. So thank you so much once again for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Till we meet again, continue to take your lead as we change the world one individual at a time.